Hello everyone, myself Sivakrishna. In my previous video, I explained how we can implement a dispatcher and a performer in RPA framework using queue approach. In this video, I'm gonna demonstrate without using the UiPath orchestrator queue and using the list how we can implement a dispatcher and performer. Let's get started. Let's take in a scenario. We have list of files are available in folder and we need to process them one by one. Let me show you the folder where the input files are available. This is my input folder and I have mentioned 4 text files. So I have mentioned some sample text. So we need to process these 4 files in REFramework. How we can do that? Let's go to the UiPath Studio. Here in the dispatcher we should get all the files and store them in list format, and we should make that list available in entire REFramework. The second step would be change the transaction item data type from queue item to type of the list. In this case, the type of the list would be file info, and change the transaction number from 1 to 0 as list index starting from 0. Third step would be by using the list variable and transaction number, we would get the transaction item. The fourth step would be in the process and set transaction, we would change the transaction item data type from queue item to file info and disable the queue activities. Let's get started. In the dispatcher, first create the in and output arguments. I am going to create in argument in str folder path, and the output argument would be out list files. Change the direction from in to out, and the argument would be array of file info. Take one assign activity and implement the logic to get all the files. Here I am going to mention new directory info of folder path and then get files. I'm going to take one log message and going to display how many files are available in that folder. Toasting. Save. The dispatcher logic has been completed. Go to main and call the dispatcher XAML in the initialization. Go to projects and drag and drop the dispatcher XAML and mention the folder path where the input files are available, and create a variable to store files information. That's it. And change the scope of the variable to access this variable in entire REFramework. The first step has been completed, and the second step would be change the transaction item variable type from queue item to file info, and the transaction number change from default value 1 to 0. Second step has been completed. The third step would be using the list variable and the transaction number, we should get the transaction item. Further, change the argument types from queue item to file info, and declare one in argument in transaction data, and the argument type would be array of file info. Disable the queue activities. Take one assign activity and mention the expression to get the file information and to store in a transaction item. In transaction data, here is the variable where all the files information is available, and in transaction number would be the index value to get the file information. Take one if condition to check every time when you are taking the values from the list. We will check the index of the list in transaction data dot count greater than in transaction number. So before taking the values from the list, we will check that this expression. So if the expression is true, then we can take the values, otherwise all the transactions inside the list has been completed. Go to main and update the arguments. Transaction item and mention the list files. This should be fine, but some cases it's showing error. Just replace with the same value. And here in the exception as well. Get transaction data modification has been completed. Our fourth step would be go to process transaction and change the argument types. Queue item to file info. Here I am going to mention file path and data inside the notepad. For that I am going to take one log message and I am going to mention the file path. In transaction item dot full name. After that I am going to read the notepad. Transaction item dot full name, and I am going to store the output in one variable. Take one log message and display the notepad output in the log message. Go to set transaction status and change the argument type from queue item to file info and disable the queue activities. Yes. Go to main and update the arguments. Update the arguments for set transaction status as well. Update the set transaction status for business exception and the system exception as well. Now the changes has been completed. Let's run the process and see the output. Let's open the output panel and see the result. So dispatcher process start and then files count 4. Let's go to the input folder and see the file count. Yes, 4 files are available. And output panel, this is notepad 1 and this is the output text, and the notepad 2, this is the text inside the notepad 3 and the placeholder file. So this way we can implement both dispatcher and performer using the lists. In the next video I am going to explain by using the dictionary how we can implement dispatcher and performer in REFramework. Hope this video is informative and thanks for watching this video. Have a nice day.